country on how just merely filing an RTI application did the trick. I'll just share a couple of examples with you. In Delhi, we posted our volunteers during these 15 days outside certain government offices at their entrance. They sat on a table and chair, and any person who used to go inside, they would say that now you don't need to pay bribes inside. If anyone asks for a bribe and doesn't do your job, just let us know, we will help you in filing an RTI application. Now as soon as they set up their help desk outside the office of Assistant Commissioner in Sundarnagari district, there the people were running around for the last several months to get their ration cards. As soon as they set up their help desk, immediately the Assistant Commissioner called them inside and said that, look, I think we made a mistake. There are several ration cards lying in that Almirah, and we just forgot about it, and now we have decided to distribute it to the people. So all these ration cards came tumbling out. Similarly, as soon as a help desk was set up outside the office of SDM Daryaganj, immediately income certificates and caste certificates for which the people were running around for the last 4 months, immediately all those certificates came tumbling out and they were distributed to the people. So that is the power of right to information. So one message that when you go out of this hall, you can take with you is that now in India, you don't need to pay bribes for your legitimate work. Use right to information. It is more effective than bribery. So please spread this message as much as you can through all your Yahoo groups, to all the methods available at your disposal. Just spread this message as much as you can. The second use of right to information I would like to share with you is of how it leads to improvement of service delivery. Now this is the case of a very poor woman called Triveni. She also has a food card. Let me just explain what this whole ration card is, ration business is. The government of India has a scheme called public distribution system. And under this public distribution system, the government sends highly subsidized food to for the poorest of the poor, for the people living below poverty line, to distribute this food to the poor people. Now this food is distributed through a chain of shops called ration shops, and these ration shops are run by private people. So the government sends subsidized food to these private agencies, and they in turn are supposed to distribute the food to the people living below poverty line in that particular area. And the people living below poverty line are identified every 5 years by the government through a survey, and they are given ration cards. So any ration card holder is supposed to get subsidized food from the shop in his area. But what happens is that this food which is sent by the government is very cheap, it is highly subsidized. So typically the wheat is sent at 2 rupees a kg. The market rate is 10 rupees a kg. The wheat comes here, reaches here at 2 rupees a kg, and he is supposed to provide this wheat to the poor people at 2 rupees a kg. But rather than doing that, he diverts it to the black market, the entire supplies, and he makes a huge profit on that. So in Delhi, many areas, people had not received any rations for the last several months. The people in many areas had been given to understand that the government had stopped public distribution system and there was no such thing anymore. And the shops had not opened for the last several months. And the entire supplies were being diverted to the black market. So this poor woman Triveni, she came to our office and she said that she had not received any supplies, any food for the last 6 months. And she is very poor. She earns about 400 rupees a month in Delhi, and she has 4 members in her family. 400 rupees is less than $10 a month. We drafted an RTI application for her. She submitted that application. In that application, she asked, number 1, please tell me how much ration has been issued in my name in the last 3 months according to the government. Please give me the copies of cash memos issued in my name. Now when you go to take rations, you are supposed to sign on a cash memo. She got a reply in 30 days time that 25 kgs of wheat and 10 kgs of rice has been issued in your name each month in the last 3 months, which was bogus, because she had not received any grain in the last 3 months. And she got copies of cash memos which had thumb impressions of Triveni. She signs. She's a literate woman. So this means that the shopkeeper was actually making false thumb impressions every month in the name of Triveni and siphoning off her rations. Now Triveni had foolproof evidence in her hand in the form of those cash memos. If she made a complaint to the food commissioner on the basis of those cash memos, perhaps the ration shopkeeper's shop might get cancelled. But before she did that, the shopkeeper came running to her, fell at her feet and said, please forgive me for my past mistakes. I would now give you full rations after this. And this is the story of February 2003, and we are in 2006. And in the last 3.5 years, she has got complete rations and she has not faced any problem. Now, this was the first case which came to us of public distribution system. Encouraged by this, we thought, let's ask for all the records of all the shops for the last several months and distribute it to the people. Then perhaps everyone will start getting rations. So we have our office in a slum in East Delhi called Sundarnagari, and there are 17 shops there catering to about 10,000 families. So we made an application under the Right to Information Act saying that please give us the copies of daily sales registers of all these 17 shops for the last 6 months. Now by then, the shopkeepers and the officers realized the potential of this information going on in public domain after Triveni's example. And this whole system runs in collusion between shopkeepers, officers and the politicians. So as soon as we filed that application, our application was rejected saying that these records cannot be provided to you. We filed an appeal. In appeal we won, and the orders were passed that these records have to be given to Parivartan, and as soon as these orders came, the concerned deputy commissioner went on leave. 1 month later he surfaced with an order from Delhi High Court saying that stay orders were granted against providing these records to Parivartan, and it was an ex parte stay. And he said these records cannot be given to you. Now this stay order was only against Parivartan and only in the case of those 17 shops. So we started going to different areas in Delhi and encouraging poor people in different areas to file applications under the Right to Information Act for the shops of their own area. And at one point of time, about 160 people from different parts of Delhi filed applications asking for the records of their own areas. And as soon as a person would file an application, the shopkeepers in that area would go to the High Court and obtain a stay order. So at one point of time, there were 135 stay orders against us. But it took us 2 years' time to get all these stay orders vacated because there was no merit in these stay orders. These orders were being given by the High Court because there was an ex-party, the other party never landed up. So in 2 years' time, we got these stay orders vacated, and finally these records started coming out. Now what did the record contain? The daily sales register basically contains that Ram Singh got 25 kgs of wheat, 10 kgs of rice on this date at this price, and thumb impression of Ram Singh. Sham Singh got this much rice, this much wheat at this price on this date. So it had a complete list of all the people who got food from the government. And which was, so we went from house to house taking these records and asked Ram Singh, did you get this ration? Now when you go to take ration, the shopkeeper is supposed to make entries at 2 places. One is the daily sales register and the other is the ration card. I never went to the shop. And when you put these 2 records together, the daily sales register says Ram Singh was sold this much of ration, but the ration card is empty. So if you put these 2 records, it's a clear evidence of siphoning off. Now we went house to house asking people of what the truth was, and the results, we did a survey of 180 families, and the results showed that 93% wheat and 97% of rice had been siphoned off. Now the total food subsidy bill of India is 26,000 crore rupees. That is 260 billion rupees. And this was happening in Delhi. Imagine what would be happening in the rural areas. Now I'm not sure if this proportion of siphoning off could be extended to this whole amount. I don't know whether we can say that more than 90% of this money is being siphoned off. We are told that most of this money basically goes to fund the political elections. Now the money that should actually go to feed the stomachs of the poorest of the poor is going into the pockets of the politicians. And imagine the kind of stakes involved, the amount of stakes involved. So as soon as we got these records and as soon as we started going each and every house and started disseminating this information, there were a series of attacks, violent attacks on our workers. Our workers were very badly beaten up almost 7 times. At one time, the workers were beaten up in the office of the assistant commissioner. In another case, when they went to file an FIR in the police station was surrounded by about 400 shopkeepers who were demanding that night that please hand over Parivartan workers to us today, we will burn them alive. And the SHO and assistant commissioner were sitting inside who were in cahoots with the shopkeepers. And in the last attack which took place, the throat of one of our workers was slit by the shopkeepers. But that girl survived ultimately. And after this happened, after this attack was there on the girl, there was a huge public outcry. Many people boycotted rations for more than a month, and the Chief Minister of Delhi had to take notice, and a series of changes were announced in the public distribution system. Now, I won't say that everything has become clean in this system in entire Delhi, but in many areas which were a part of this movement and now which knew Right to Information Act, which knew about these orders and who have used Right to Information Act, in those areas almost 100% families have started getting their rations, which were not getting earlier. You can go to any house in Sundarnagari, Simapuri, Harsh Vihar, Malviya Nagar, Welcome Colony, many of these areas, now almost 100% families have started getting rations. So this was another example I wanted to share with you of how the transparency and the right to information help in improving service delivery. The third example I wanted to share with you is how a very ordinary person living his day-to-day life can use Right to Information Act without making any extra efforts and make a difference in community works. This is a story of a software engineer called Uday, and some of you who are from Delhi would know these areas. He lives in South Delhi in Vasant Kunj, and he works in HCL Noida, and he takes the outer ring road in front of IIT Delhi. And last year he saw that the road between IIT flyover and Panchsheel flyover was constructed, and it just came off in 10 days. And this is what happens to most of our roads. He filed an RTI application saying that I want to come and inspect all the files related to the construction of this road. I want to come and inspect this road. As I said right in the beginning, that this law gives you the power to inspect any government work. So he said, I want to come and inspect this road, and I want to come and take sample of material used in this road. He was given a date and time, and when he went for inspection, the executive engineer told him, आपके आने के 2 दिन पहले हमने सारी सड़क दोबारा बनवा दी है. 2 days before you came, we have got the entire road redone, and this could be done only because the payment had not been made to the contractor so far. Now, one lesson that we drew from this incident was that entire corruption takes place in the files, and this information is always confined in the files and it remains secret. No one comes to know what's there in the files. At best, at the end of the year, someone from vigilance or someone from audit or someone from inspection would come, and he would take his share and he would go back. And public never comes to know what's there hidden in these files. But if you as a citizen file an application under Right to Information Act and ask for this information, this officer does not know who you are. He does not know whether you're literate, whether you're illiterate, whether you're technically qualified to understand this information. He doesn't know what you're going to do with this information. Are you going to expose it in the media? Are you going to the police? Are you going to go give it to CBI? He doesn't know what he'll do with information. So as soon as a citizen files an application under the Right to Information Act and the information comes out in public domain, many things start falling in place. 100 meters of road is made, but they make the payment for 400 meters. Now imagine if any citizen, if he sees any government work taking place anywhere in the country, just files an RTI application that as soon as this work gets over, please call me, I would like to come and inspect this work. It just costs you 10 rupees. The executive engineer will think twice before making wrong entries in the measurement book. And if he also files an application saying that please call me, I would like to come and take the sample of material used in this work, the executive engineer will think twice before making before using substandard material. And imagine if every citizen, anywhere you see any government work taking place, if every citizen starts filing such an application, it will make a huge dent in corruption all over. So I just want to share with you that Right to Information, in my opinion, is the best law that the Parliament of India has passed. It empowers people in a way which no other law has done earlier. Now we started with the case of Nannu, how an ordinary person like Nannu got his ration card, how Triveni's case the service delivery improved, how Uday, a common person, can make a difference in his society. So the Right to Information actually affects every sphere of governance, and I would like to share with you how using Right to Information Act people can intervene in policy making also at very high levels. And this is a story. This is a story of a water privatization project. The government of Delhi wanted to privatize Delhi's water supplies. And this project started in 1998. Until 2004, no one knew that such a thing was going on. It was going on in complete secrecy. In November 2004, there was a story in the newspaper saying that there was some such project going on. And there was some NGOs started crying hoarse about it, saying that this should not happen. So we at Parivartan, we had no knowledge of water, we had no knowledge of privatization, we just didn't know what it means. So just as a concerned citizen, just in order to find out what truth was, we took a paper cutting of that particular news item and filed an RTI application saying that please give us copies of all the files related to this project, because we just didn't know what this project was about. And we got a reply that there was no such project. Whereas this project was going on for the last 6 years. And so we filed an appeal. At appellate stage, the government had to admit that yes, there was a project, and the orders were passed that these files should be made available to us. So it took us, it wasn't so easy, it took us 6 to 8 months time to get records. The records started pouring out, and ultimately we got 9,000 pages of information, which included, it was a World Bank funded project, which included World Bank reports, it included consultant reports, it included the correspondence between the bank, the state government, the central government, and between various officials of the government. And what came out was that it was a completely bizarre project. If this project had been implemented, the entire water systems in Delhi would be ruined. So once this information came out and the media started picking it up, ultimately there was a huge public outcry, and finally the government had to withdraw the entire project, and they had to withdraw its loan application to the World Bank. Now in this whole project, of course I won't go into the details of that project because that's not the subject matter of today's discussion, but in this whole project, I would like to share with you how the contracts were given out. And just one of those contracts I would like to share with you. This whole thing started, as I said, in 1998. And in 1998, the Delhi government approached the World Bank saying that we want to improve our water supplies and please give us a loan. The World Bank said, okay, we'll give you a loan, but first you hire a consultant who would tell you what needs to be done. So in order to do that, the World Bank gave a loan of $2.5 million to Delhi government. $2.5 million is peanuts, it's just 10 crore rupees. And Delhi government is the only government in the country which is cash surplus. It has a surplus budget. It has huge cash reserves. It doesn't need money, it doesn't need loan. So why did they take this 10 crore rupees of loans from the bank? I don't know. But this loan was taken by the government and they invited bids. In the first round, 35 companies applied. And the rule was that the top 6 companies would be shortlisted and the rest of the companies would be rejected. Now these are some of the documents from those 9,000 pages. The first page is the top 10 companies. Right from the beginning, it appears that the World Bank was interested that this contract should go to PricewaterhouseCoopers. The PricewaterhouseCoopers name is at the 10th position. So according to the rules, PricewaterhouseCoopers should have been rejected. But the next page is a note sheet entry by an officer wherein he has written that PricewaterhouseCoopers, though ranked at number 10, have been selected to meet the requirement of the World Bank, that is at least one consultant should be from a developing country. So PricewaterhouseCoopers was declared as an Indian company. And they were brought up from 10th position to 6th position. So these 6 companies were then asked to submit their technical bids and financial bids. They submitted their bids, and now the rule was that first the technical bids would be opened and the companies which get less than 75% marks would be rejected, and only those companies which get more than 75% marks, their financial bids would be opened. This is a score sheet of which company got how many marks in the technical evaluation, and PricewaterhouseCoopers got 68% marks. So the rule was that the company which gets less than 75% marks should be rejected. PricewaterhouseCoopers should have been rejected. These results were communicated to the World Bank, and this is the fax message from World Bank to Delhi Jal Board saying that the evaluation criteria used by you is not correct. Change the evaluation criteria. And the last paragraph of this fax message says, please explain why did you give such low marks to PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now when this fax message was sent to Delhi Jal Board, the Delhi Jal Board replied. The next is a letter from Delhi Jal Board which said that we had used the same evaluation criteria which was given by you. So please don't force us to change the criteria at this stage when the bids have been opened. It will be terribly embarrassing for us. This is a fax message from the bank saying that nothing doing, change the criteria. Next is the minutes of meeting of Delhi Jal Board. A meeting of Delhi Jal Board took place which was chaired by the Chief Minister of Delhi. And this minutes of meeting says that the World Bank is violating its own guidelines. And it says this would not only be terribly embarrassing for Delhi Jal Board, but might even be questioned by the affected firms. So it was decided that a senior team of senior government officers should be sent to the World Bank, and they should try to persuade the bank not to bully them like this. So a team of Principal Secretary Finance, the Delhi Jal Board CEO, and the member finance was sent to the World Bank, and they tried to persuade the bank. This is a letter from the World Bank saying that we have studied all your requests. Please cancel all the bids and invite fresh bids. So all the bids were cancelled, fresh bids were invited. Again, the 6 companies were asked to submit their technical and financial bids. They again submitted their bids. Again, the rule was that the company should get more than 75% marks, and this is the technical evaluation. Again, PricewaterhouseCoopers got 73% marks. These results were again communicated to the bank, and this time the bank said, please tell us which member of your evaluation committee gave how many marks to which company. So these score sheets were sent to the bank, and incidentally, one of the members of the evaluation committee was R.K. Jain. R.K. Jain gave the least marks to PricewaterhouseCoopers. This is a fax message from the bank saying that R.K. Jain didn't do a good job, remove his marks. And this is a message from the Delhi Jal Board saying that as per your directions, we have removed his marks, and that's how PricewaterhouseCoopers qualified. Now, one basic issue is, we live in a democratic country. Who should decide? This particular project was a very critical project. It would have changed the whole structure of water delivery system in Delhi if this project had been implemented. Who should decide that what kind of water system should we have? Should it be decided by the people of Delhi, or should it be decided by the World Bank? How was this whole project designed? I would just read out 3 lines. This is another fax message from World Bank to Delhi Jal Board, and there are several of this. I've told you we have 9,000 pages of information. This is just for demonstration. This message to the Jal Board says, terms of reference. This is how terms of reference were decided of various contracts. Line 5 of clause 2.1. Replace words this with words this. Clause 3.1.1b. Add words this at the end of words this. Clause 3.9. Replace words this with words this. If this is not dictation, then what is dictation? Each and every comma, full stop, every word of Delhi Jal Board documents of this entire project was dictated by the World Bank. Now, the purpose of my entire presentation was not, I am not against World Bank. I am not against water privatization. We can have a separate discussion on that. The purpose of this whole thing was just to demonstrate the power of right to information. We could not have even imagined access to these kind of documents, these kind of critical documents about a few years back. We are witness to how Enron ruined the country. We are witness to so many scandals. But now the people have the power to question these projects before the projects actually take off. And the people are able to save the money. I would just give you an example of how very ordinary people, Defense Colony in Delhi, there the housewives have come together and they have started filing several RTI applications. And one of the applications they filed was that please give us a list of all the projects that the municipality plans to do in our area in the next 1 financial year. And the list that they got, they started verifying those projects, and what they found was that there was one street. First, in one project it was written that the street in front of these houses will be made, and in the next project it was the streets in front of these houses will be made. It's the same street. So when they brought it to the notice of the Deputy Commissioner, he had to actually withdraw one of the projects. So this is how the people, by asking for information, are able to save the government money. So I would just like to end my talk by saying that information is power. And so far this information was concentrated in the hands of the bureaucrats and the politicians. Right to Information Act snatches this information from them and makes it available to very ordinary citizens. And therefore I am firmly of the opinion all of us had turned cynics, including me, and we always used to feel that nothing can change in India and this will always continue like this. But right to information now is giving a ray of hope that in the next few years there would be a change and things might improve. Thank you.